Alright, welcome back class for our discussion for Utilitarianism versus Deontology. So I would like to make a comparison between these two theories regarding on determining what is the right action. So there are two ways based on these two theories on how to identify which is the right or the wrong action. So basically, as you can see in the slides, I have chosen to put their faces. So Immanuel Kant, the proponent of the ontology, and then the other one is Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill. So basically, Immanuel Kant is a German philosopher, while Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill are English philosophers. So they are the two main proponents of utilitarianism. So let me define first or explain first what is utilitarianism. So there are three generally accepted axioms of utilitarianism. These three, we will be focusing on these three, although utilitarianism is kind of wide already because it has some areas also like psychological, the hedonistic point of view, or like such. Although there are similarities, on how utilitarianism was developed, it was believed that it is somehow rooted from the principle of hedonism. Alright, so the first one is pleasure or happiness. It is the only thing that has intrinsic value. For a utilitarian, they use usually interchangeably pleasure or happiness as the same or synonymous. So second, these actions are right if they promote happiness and wrong if they promote unhappiness. So basically, it is always on the side of pleasure or happiness, and the opposite will be the pain or unhappiness. So you're going to judge actions as right or wrong based on happiness and based on pain. Third, everyone's happiness counts equally. So this is what we call, as I said in the characteristics of ethics, that it looks in the with the impartiality that it all applies to everyone, and we treat the interests and the happiness of everyone with equal worth. So the first proponent is Jeremy Bentham. He said that ethics at large may be defined the art of directing men's actions to the production of the greatest possible quantity of happiness. So he is focusing mostly on the production of the greatest happiness, on looking at an action. So basically the formula is, if you are doing an action, you should calculate happiness, and then you are going to subtract the pain in it, and then you will get the total, whether it is in favor with the happiness or pain. So if the result will in favor with pain, then you could conclude that the action you're doing is morally wrong. While if it's in favor with happiness, so that you can say that it is morally right. So that's how Bentham will look or evaluate a moral action or an action. So for example, studying hard. By studying hard, you have to look all the things that you will be happy, and the pain in it on the process. So I listed in here the possible happiness you may achieve by studying hard. Of course, you will pass the exams or your quizzes or your oral exams. So basically that is a fulfillment, but knowing that you pass, you will get high grades. Most probably, if you will get high grades, you will become a dean lister. You will get honors or awards. Of course, you will graduate, and then later on you will get a good job, and then if you have a good job, of course you will have a high salary, and that will lead you to become financially stable. Of course, you will be successful. Well, the pain for studying hard, of course, the common thing is that you will have the lack of sleep, but having lack of sleep, it can be compensated later on in your vacant time, so you can rest. Of course, you will be tired. So if you're going to add this three happiness, listed in the happiness section, and then you're gonna subtract the pain. Let's say that each line is equivalent to 1 point. So there are 7 points in happiness, and then 2 points for pain. So 7 minus 5, that's minus 2, that's 5. So the net is in favor with happiness. So that you can say that studying hard is morally right. So that's how he calculated it. But more examples later on will determine some problematic areas of utilitarianism as well. So let's proceed to the definition of deontology. I'm sorry, with the definition of John Stuart Mill, the version Stuart Mill. Of course, here he modified the version of Bentham. He said that utilitarianism should promote the greatest amount of good for the greatest number of people. So it is talking about the welfare of the majority, but and not of the minority. Of course, since we are looking at things with impartiality in here, that all the interests and the choices of everyone with equal worth, that means that we should in favor with the majority, because they are much, there are more than the minority. So the best action in here is the one that leads to the greatest amount of happiness for the greatest number of people. So let's say, for example, you are presented with two choices in the movie Batman. Either you're gonna save the woman. I'm sorry, I'm not really sure if it's really the characters in Batman, but Joker is one and Batman, of course. So you are going to, in a simultaneous situation, you can save the woman or you can kill the Joker. Of course, some would sarcastically answer that I would save the woman and then I will kill Joker. But here, I will only allow to choose one action, and then you have to deliberate and to think for the consequences, because utilitarianism is a consequentialist theory. So of course, saving the woman makes sense because she is a good person and she has 4 kids. Her neighbors love her and she helps lots of people. While if you're gonna kill Joker, the consequences will be he will be killed, and then that means you will be sparing many people more because he's a killer and he has no friends and everyone hated him. So you could it makes sense to save the woman, but knowing that you are going to save more people, not just the life of the woman, but many more people in the future that Joker may kill. So that's why in the knowing the best action, having the amount of happiness for the greatest number, then he should kill the Joker. So that's how you do it. You're going to calculate the consequences to which has the highest amount or the greatest amount of happiness for the greatest number of people. So imagine the woman has only 4 kids, and then that's the only, and then maybe probably her husband, but Joker could kill the entire village, the entire nation, or whatsoever. So let's go forward to the ontology. So the ontology of Immanuel Kant, the theory is the antithesis of utilitarianism. It means it contradicts the doctrine of utilitarianism. So the rightness or wrongness of actions does not depend on their consequences, but on whether they fulfill our duty. So it's based on how the thing is done, how the action is done. Was it done in the right way, or was it done in the wrong way? So it is regardless, whatever, you are not going to look at the consequences, because for Immanuel Kant, consequences is not for us to decide. Consequences will just follow. and it cannot be predicted, and it is out of sight for the meantime. So we have to disregard that. We have to do the right thing, to do the right action by following the rule, and then whatsoever will be the result, at least we did the right thing. So all moral duties are expressed in the form of categorical imperative. Although Immanuel Kant has 3 forms of categorical imperative, but I will only give emphasis to 2, because since the third is just the more elaborative point of view of the second. So categorical means it applies without exception and without regard for particular needs or purposes. So it does not exempt one or the other because of their status, because of their gender, because of their race or origin or whatsoever. Imperative, it is a command to do something. So wala kang takas, you have to do it. It is a categorical imperative without no exemption, and it is a command. So there are 2 imperatives. First is the hypothetical, but the deontology of Kant will focus on the categorical. Hypothetical, it means a command to do something if we want to achieve particular aims. So for example, if you want to pass, then you have to study. So it is conditional. So we will not focus that one, but on the categorical. Do this regardless of whatever choices, whatever rational reasons you have or excuses you have. You cannot go against this. You cannot escape from this. It is a categorical. So the 3 forms are the universal law first, second is treat humans as ends themselves, and then third is act as if you live in a kingdom of ends. So universal law. The universal law is expanded. It is act only on that maxim through which you can at the same time will that it should become a universal law. For example, borrowing money. You know that you cannot pay it back, but you need the money. So in order for you to get the loan, you lied by falsely promising to pay. So if you're going to analyze that example, is it permissible? Is it the right thing to do in order for you to get the money? So you have to deceive someone or your friend or whoever is that you're borrowing from? Is it permissible? Is it good? What if everyone did this? Imagine the whole world or the entire human species will do this kind of thing, will by lying. Would you allow it to become a universal law? So this is the only consequence that will happen if you will allow this to become a universal law. The result, no one will ever lend money to anybody, and that is a bad thing. That is a serious thing. If nobody will ever lend money to anyone, then that means that is a bad thing. That is the wrong thing. So you have to avoid doing this by lying falsely, because you are using that person and you're lying to that person. So in order for you to achieve what you want, you have to lie, and then you have to get what you want. So you are using that person in order to accomplish your purpose. So this does not pass on the criteria of universality. It can become a universal universal law, but this is a bad thing. If it is a bad thing, people will avoid it. By avoiding it, no one will lend money ever again. So do you want that to happen? So you have to wait down. If people will avoid it, then that is a bad thing, because no one will ever do it again because natagam sila. But if you're going to honor your promise, then everyone will joyfully negotiate or deal with their friends or their clients or whatsoever. So the second one is treat humans as ends themselves. So you have to act as expanded, act in such a way that you always treat humanity, whether in your own person, sa imong kaugalingon, or in the person of any other, sa uban, never simply as means, but always at the same time as an end. When we say as an end, we respect people, we respect anybody and all the persons around us, because every people has an inherent worth as an inherent worth, which is every one of us is free and rational, which means if free, we can choose freely what to do and what to say and what to act. So by respecting personhood of everybody, we have to avoid thwarting people's chosen action by coercion, lying, and discrimination. When we say thwarting, is we have to prevent someone, we have to prevent a friend or anyone from doing the action by lying or by force, by threatening, and by discriminating. And that is bad things to do. So you are disrespecting a person if you will lie, if you will threat the person by force, imong hadlokon or ibuhang i-threatened, and or you will discriminate the person. So this maxim forbids treating a person simply or merely as means, nothing but a means. Gamiton ra nimo as instrument to achieve what you want. Let's say for example, you hate someone, no, and then you will hire a gun for hire to kill that person or to injure that person. So you are using that gun for hire. You will pay that person to achieve what you want, and then later on, no, nothing. Wala na. You're gonna end your communication to that person, and then later on, if you want to do it again, then you will contact that person again. You will hire that person. So it is not maybe it's the free choice of that person to be hired, but that person, if he will kill somebody or injure somebody, that is not the choice of that person. Kinsa bagay ganahan nga pusilon or samaran, because nobody, and even in my rationality and even in my sane mind, I would not allow myself to be hurt or to be injured. So whether you agree or not, once the person does not freely choose to do the action, that is disrespecting the person. So another example. What about if I want to buy something? Of course, in order for me to get something, I'm gonna go to the cashier, and then the cashier will give me what I want. So kung sa may mong gipili diya sa department store whatsoever. So I'm using the cashier. I'm using the librarian if I want a book like such. That is not thwarting their choices. It is not preventing their choices, because the cashier is doing that because it is his or her own choice to be a cashier. While the librarian, it is his or her choice to become a librarian. We are not forcing them to do it. If we are forcing the person to do it, to do an action, then that is against this maxim. We are just treating them as instruments or mere instruments. You have to be very careful with the word mere or simply means. So there are a lot of means that we do, like for example sa akong gihatag, the cashier or librarian, they are means but not merely, because that was their choices. So treating humans as ends themselves, it means that we are respecting their boundary and their choices. We are not threatening them. We are not taking their freedom. We are not forcing them to do an action. By the time that we stop them from what they are doing because we don't want them to do it, we are disrespecting them, their freedom, and then their rationality, or their worth, or their characteristic, or their value. I mean, this inherent worth to be a rational being. Alright, so let us proceed by making distinctions with utilitarianism and deontology, the trolley problem. So if you're the person, you can choose to divert the tram by the main track, saving 5 people on the track, but killing the worker on the other track. So let us say the track's default movement is on the 5 on the left side. So if you are a utilitarian, because you are achieving the greatest amount of happiness for the greatest number of people, you will move the tram in order for the track to move on the other direction on the right to kill that one person. So you are saving the 5 compared to 1. So that's how a utilitarian will choose. But for deontology, you will not do nothing. You will not move the tram, because by by moving the charm, you are already evading the one person on the other end in the right side. You are trying to kill that person. You will kill that person. Well, if you will not move, that is the default direction of the track, then so be it. At least you did not do anything at all. So the next, the person on the bridge can choose. If you are the person on the bridge now, you can choose to push the large person onto the track, thereby killing that person, that potentially stopping the charm and saving the 5 people further down the track. So in the bridge, nakadiha then diha po sa bridge doon ay usa ka dakong tao. And there in the ahead of it, there are 5 people working in the where the charm will go. So whether you have choices, either to push that person, pag push mo, mahulog siya and then mabangga ang charm niya, then the charm will stop and will save the 5 people. So for utilitarian, probably you will push the person to save the 5. But for the ontologist, you will not do anything at all, because it is not the choice of the person on the bridge to be pushed. Nga ma-attack siya and then mamatay, that is not his choice. Then you are evading, you are disrespecting the right of the people. At least if these 5 people will die, it is not out of your choices. It was fated. It was the direction of the charm, and then whatever scenario is that, then that's up to them. Because at least you did not do anything at all to evade or to disrespect the rights of these people. Alright, so I hope you learned something from the differences of these two theories of right of action regarding determining the right action between utilitarianism and deontology. And hopefully you will be able to balance your views already on looking at moral issues. So I will leave to you, especially later on, as many more perspectives and theories on ethics to that you can use to judge some issues, especially those relevant to our daily lives. So thank you, God bless, and thank you.